Well, the Blue Bloods from Bloomington were too much for the running Rams from Richmond. Last 10 majors have been won by 10 different players, and with Tiger Woods sitting this one out, it may be the most wide open ever. Well, the first thing the Rams did when they arrived here in Portland was go to the Nike store, but instead of wearing any new shoes, the Rams were dusting off those old Cinderella glass slippers last night. As for Chesterfield native Denny Hamlin, he led 7 laps late but got caught in a late wreck to cap a frustrating and disappointing week with a 21st place finish. Well, this remarkable run for the VCU Rams continues. Few picked them to be in the field of 68, never mind the field of 8. There are certainly no doubters left out there. How can there be after this VCU Ram team that many believe didn't belong in the NCAA tournament is now going from the first 4 to the final 4. 70-62 VCU losers to Butler, but it's hard to call this team a bunch of losers. Prior to this season, they had 5 all-time NCAA tournament wins, and they won 5 here during this miraculous run. The decision for Andrew White had no shades of gray. He was ready to don a blue cap in December, but the #1 basketball recruit in the state waited until today to make his decision official. At the Miller School tonight, the Chester native signed to play basketball at the University of Kansas. White made his verbal commitment to the Jayhawks almost 4 months ago right here in the studios of NBC 12. But today was about sharing the biggest decision of his life with family and friends that have helped him get to the highest level of college basketball.
It means a lot to me. People drove 2 hours away just to see this quick 5-minute process, and that kind of shows how I came so far because I've always had people in my corner.
Last month, White went down to New Orleans and watched firsthand as Jayhawks played for the national championship. One local star is heading to a basketball blue blood. Another one is leaving. Benedictine Park Michael Binijay has decided to transfer from Duke after just 1 year. The Chester native averaged under 2 points and under 1 rebound per game in his freshman season. In a release, the school says he's leaving under good academic standing. Baseball, Squirrels hosting the R-Phils. Does anyone ever really win a hot dog eating contest? I mean, this is just gross. Bottom 3, it's 1-0 R-Phils. Johnny Manel rips a shot to left, runs, scores, it's 1-1. Squirrels starter Craig Westcott having some trouble. That is not a strike. He gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. Bottom 5 is 3-2 Reading. Daniel Mayora singles, and we're going to have a play at the plate. Ere Adrianza is safe. We're tied at 3. Top 7 man on second for Reading. Troy Hanzawa grounds it up the middle. Great stop by Adrianza, but runner is going to score from second. He is in there. That'd be the game winner. 5-3 Reading wins. Squirrels drop to 6-6 on the year. Well, thousands of gallons of gas used each weekend, mangled masses of cars spewing oil, and hundreds of thousands of fans not always using recycling bins. The sport of NASCAR does not exactly scream eco-friendly. Check this out. This is the Ford Focus Electric. It will be the first ever all-electric car to be a pace car at a NASCAR race. It will lead the field for the Sprint Cup race at RIR on April 28th. And that's sports. Hermitage graduate and former Richmond star John Hilton played receiver for 8 seasons in the NFL, spanning from the late 60s to the early 70s.
A butkus hit me. He hit me in the kidney, and I peed blood for 2 weeks.
But were you back out there playing after that?
Yes.
Collegiate school grad and former Spider Ray Easterling was a safety for the Falcons in the 70s.
I mean, I was knocked totally out in 77 against the Rams. Woke up with the trainers and doctors over me. Was helped to the sideline, only missed 3 plays.
These stories of toughness have had long-lasting effects on these warriors of the gridiron.
How many concussions have you had? And I said, about 50. She said, you had 50? I said, yeah, that's just 1 season out of 9.
Both Hilton and Easterling show signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative disease found in individuals who've had multiple concussions. Those with CTE show the symptoms of dementia, memory loss, confusion, aggression, and depression. Hilton has recently lost his license and was kicked off the golf course he lives on for aggressively arguing with fellow golfers.
The more hits you take with a helmet and the jarring, you don't realize it sneaks up on you. all of a sudden, you can't remember this, you can't remember that.
Easterling, a workout fiend at 62 years old, recently had an accident chopping wood and took off most of his right thumb.
But that's the insidiousness of the disease. It's like a silent predator. You don't know that something's skewing your judgment.
This pair of Richmond football legends realized their childhood dreams of playing in the NFL. But now, 30 years later, both have second thoughts about picking the game up at all.
I've got grandchildren. I don't want to get into football.
I don't know the timeline of how much quality of life I have left. It's probably anywhere from 12 to 18 months. I'll never knowingly see my grandkids. It's such a short window of time to struggle with something for 30 years. It's not worth the trade-off.
From a distance, this single football play does not look like much. One player scoring a touchdown in what seems like slow motion. But to understand the emotion of this play, you need to know the story. This is 13-year-old David Flint. David loves football, even though he can't play.
When we do our warm-ups, when we do our calisthenics, David does what he can, and then he's just really a help to the coaches.
At first, when he was 4 or 5, they thought he wouldn't be able to walk without assistance of some method. So he's had braces his whole life.
He's really special to our team, helps us out, always positive, always keeping us in a good mood.
I keep myself interacted in the game as well as keep my teammates hyped up about the game, even if we're getting killed, which happens a lot, it seems.
Well, David's sort of right. In his 5th year as manager and 2nd as play-by-play announcer, the Wildcats weren't having their best season. They were concluding their year against Clover Hill, the dominant school in the league. The Wildcat coaching staff knew winning was probably out of the question, so they came up with another idea.
You know, our hope was to get him in for a play. Like I said, if we could get him in on a kickoff, put him into a position where he wasn't going to be in danger, and just let everybody know, we would have been satisfied with that.
Me and my other coaches, we decided, let's do one better. Why don't David score a touchdown?
I was standing around, waiting, had my mouth guard in, with my helmet, very hot outfit, I might add, because I had never been in there before.
Set up a play called War Eagle, and War Eagle was basically, we formed a little cocoon around David, handed him the ball, and just went right up the middle.
David Flint, number 68, taking the ball from Chris Sheets, number 35, running down the middle. What a block! He cuts up the middle. Keep going. 30. He's still going. Still got blockers downfield. Couple men to beat. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, number 68. David Flint. And both teams come out from the sideline to congratulate him.
I don't think there was a dry eye on either sideline.
Both sides of the field, the parents, the spectators, really got into it.
The kids decided amongst themselves to, hey, Coach, can we give David the game ball? And we haven't given a game ball out all year.
When that happened, it made me feel really good. I felt like I did something good that day.
I'm not one to take much publicity on myself, but that did feel good to do that.
10 years from now, these kids are getting out of college. They're not going to remember who won the game, but they will remember David Flint's touchdown.
Well, yeah, it's March, and this is what the madness is all about. After VCU fans packed this place the past 2 days, including the biggest Saturday attendance ever, the Black and Gold got what they wanted, a championship game tonight against the leader of the conference. Fans lined up here at the Coliseum all day. In fact, I talked to some students who've been here since 5:45 a.m. Why would VCU students show up this early? Well, the first 200 get the seats directly behind the basket. The 800 next students get seats in the balcony, so it pays to get here early. As for the game, VCU will have their hands full with top seed Drexel. The Dragons haven't lost in 2 months and beat the Rams earlier this season in Pittsburgh. Shaka Smart calls this game a contrast in styles. Drexel's bruising tough defense against the fast pace of Havoc.
Last year, we played in the NCAA tournament, all those high major teams, and everyone kept saying, with the different teams we were playing, they were saying, well, Purdue's the best defensive team in the country, or Florida State's the best defensive team. I thought Drexel last year was the toughest team to score on of any of the teams that we played. This year's team is even tougher and more physical than last year's team was.
We've been looking forward to playing them in Richmond, you know, and out here in the Richmond Coliseum is just like home for us. So, you know, it'll be definitely a great game to see.
Shaka Smart's accomplished a lot of things, but one thing he hasn't done, won a CAA championship. You know, the big talk around town today, Mark, is well, what happens if VCU loses? Do they get in the tournament as an at-large? And the reality is no one knows the answer to that question, and really VCU would just like to put that debate to bed and just win tonight. Live at the Coliseum, I'm Matt Lincoln, NBC 12 Sports.